It's working. Let's go, man. Hey.
Let us go.
All right. This is Spittin' Sports, bro. The playoff preview. Why did I just say bro after saying Spittin' Sports? I'm tired, y'all. Y'all gonna have to forgive me today. And I got a giant ass forehead on this screen right now. I don't know what's going on. But my computer won't zoom out.
Landon, Chris, and Hunter.
Yeah.
Yes, sir.
Landon, Chris, and Hunter, the
Yes,
Heat Hog.
sir.
Oh, now
The
just hit it for me.
Philly fanatic
And the Mavs man land.
We
The
good?
land-
Is it going to keep going?
Mic check.
1, 2. I think we're done.
Yeah.
Hot.
Are we good?
Are we good? Someone help. All right, y'all. Hey, this is the playoff preview pod. Playoff preview. The matchups are set.
They are set, man. They're finalized
Let's
as
start
of
in the
tonight.
East, man. Let's talk about these Heat after the Hawks performance we saw from Trae Young tonight. I want to hear this discussion.
I mean, the last game we played, the Hawks were 3-1 on the season against them, but they've played us pretty tight all season.
Oh, we were ripping off stats, just off rip.
Yeah, they're
said, "I'm
3-1
ready."
against us. They're a divisional opponent, so I'm not really worried about them. Considering that.
Careful now. Red
Yeah,
Velvet
I
play
mean,
some
in the
basketball
last
now.
game we played, the last game we played, Trae Young shot over 50%, had like 38 points, and we still beat him. He went crazy. He's the only superstar. Thank God that Spoelstra won't double team, and I pray that doesn't change because we saw what happened with the Mavericks. I mean, I remember last year against the Mavericks, we always double superstars as the Heat guys, right? That's what Spoelstra does. Let the bums beat us. And then Tim Hardaway hits like 9 threes and goes for almost 40 and starts this burner of a year that got him $70 million. We started that. We started the Tim Hardaway
You're
max
responsible
train.
for Tim's contract.
We are responsible for Tim Hardaway's contract, literally. And, you know, I'm glad we don't double him, let Kevin Huerter go off or whatever. I'm glad we don't do that. And I'm very comfortable with this team. I've played them so many times. It's like when the Mavs play the Spurs in a playoff series, it's almost like you know what they're going to do, but the Hawks will never be the Spurs, and they'll never win a championship with this 5-10 troll doll. So, you know, I'm just going to show up, get this 5-game series out the way, and get them out of there. I'm not really worried about them. They can score, but I think our defense is – I think we're too good. I think we're just too good for them. Yeah, what? Yes.
I mean, I'm just saying, bro.
This
like,
dude Chris
you know,
is like Hawks in 7.
No,
Like,
I'm
look at
just
this
saying,
guy.
like, Philly wanted them last year, too. I'm just saying, bro. Like, they got a couple
We
players
don't
now.
have Ben Simmons. Bam is
is
dunking the ball.
I don't know.
Yeah,
I
Ben's
can see
gone
Bam.
now.
I can see Bam passing out of one of those. I can see something similar right there. He's in one of them ultra passive modes. Nah,
It's a cardio PJ.
I'll take I'm taking Miami for sure. 5 or 6. 5 or 6 is fair. 4 wouldn't
I
shock
think
me.
Miami in 6 probably. I mean, that's the cop out answer, right? Like you talked about it last week. Because if you say it's going to be any less than 5 games, you just sound
Sound like arrogant and disrespectful. And,
because six just gives you the happy medium. It's like if it goes 7, you're like, oh, I was almost right. But if it goes what almost always happens in 5 or 6, you're like, okay, I was right. You know what I mean? So it's just like, but yeah, I like the series matchup for the Heat. Actually, we were talking about that a little bit. Trae Young went off tonight, man. The dude's just kind of shows you that he's capable of backpacking that team for at least one game. So like in a playoff environment, anything goes, you know. But I just think the Heat match up too well. And I don't know, Hunter, if you want to elaborate on that a little bit, I know you can.
Oh, absolutely. So offensively, they have some guys out there that can score or get theirs every once in a while. Like, I'm not a team relying on Bogdanovich basically to be their second best player, not even their second best scorer, their second best player in general. I'm not scared of that. Okay, so you get Trae Young, okay, who is arguably, like, this is insane to say as a Heat fan, he might be the best player in the series, and I got Bam Adebayo and Jimmy Butler on my team. This is what I'm going to do with every matchup the Heat will have. By the way, I'm just giving you my criteria for the Heat to win a championship, so just put this down in your notebook. This is what Hunter's going to do every time we talk about the Heat. Trae Young can be number 1. 2, 3, 4. Let's go Bam, Jimmy, Kyle Lowry, Tyler Hero. I mean,
Yeah. Before you get to Bogdanovich, which would be the second player for the Hawks. I see what you're saying.
mean, you know what I'm saying? We have way too much skill. I think guys are so limited on their team. They have a lot of specialists or a lot of guys like Danilo Gallinari who are older, who I don't know if he can do it for 4 games. Not even 2, to be honest. I know Bogdanovich can't do it for 4 games. We've seen that in the past. He goes 3 for 17, then he'll go 10 for 14 somehow, things of that nature. And without John Collins, and you don't know... Yeah, without John Collins, you don't know what they have in the pick and roll and even a second star. And mostly now with Capella, they said it's not a huge injury, but I don't see him playing on Sunday. He's over here getting carried to the locker room. Right. I don't see him playing on Sunday.
For anybody that didn't see that, Clint Capella kind of got rolled up on. I forget who it was, but somebody it was just a live body on the court.
He pulled Evan
Capella
Mobley
got rolled up.
his
It looked
own
like a
leg.
little hyperextension. So they're not really sure the nature of the injury and how long it's going to keep him out. But it's a big loss if he doesn't play for 1, maybe 2 games.
Yeah,
that was
and I
unfortunate.
can't wait for that. I can't wait for that though, because this is where the Bam narrative is going to start shifting. If Capella's out, like Bam's going to have like 2 or 3 games where he goes like 9 of 12 and has 24 points, 13 rebounds, and 5 assists. And then the who is the best under 25 category other than Luka comes out. I can't wait for the narrative to shift. It's going to be beautiful.
Yeah, Bam will be ranked. Bam will be ranked ahead of Embiid next year again on ESPN's dumbass poll that they like to put
That's
out.
insane.
Yeah,
Even I said that was stupid.
Shit.
So I do also remember one of the things I like that Chris talked about in the past, like when evaluating who your opponent is going to be. Chris said the single most common thing that he looks at before any game that the Sixers play would be who is the opposing team's center.
Yeah.
As in, who's going to try and defend one of the best players in the world right now, Joel Embiid. So
best.
For the Heat, in that case, Hunter, you talked about Bam Adebayo and Jimmy Butler. Kind of they're like 1As to each other's 1B at times. I would say would be a good way to put that this year. But
Absolutely.
which guy do you think has the more favorable opponent matchup this week or for this series?
Without Capella out there, I think
That's
Bam,
where I was kind of going.
I mean, Bam he's arguably the 3rd best center in the world behind 2 guys that I would put in my top. If you make a top 5 list, it's always a top 8. So in my top 5 list, Jokic and Embiid are up there. Bam is arguably the guy right behind them. You can say Karl Anthony Towns if you want, take whoever you want in the center category. He's right there behind them. And if you're bringing out the kid from USC to guard him, I don't even know how to say his name. I'm not going to try to. If you're bringing that guy out to
Chris, you got that?
Yeah, Nyeka Okongwu. Yeah.
There you go.
I just remember I was really high on him when he came out of the draft. He's a pretty good player. But if you're bringing these backup guys out to guard an elite player like Bam, Bam is like known as by everybody a top 20 player in the league right now, and people are starting to rate him over Jimmy Butler for some reason. Don't know why, but with the Jimmy Butler matchup, they haven't been able to, like DeAndre Hunter, when you look at it on paper, you're like, yo, DeAndre Hunter's one of the best perimeter defenders in basketball. He's supposed to be up there, one of those high-level wing guys. Jimmy Butler's been eating his ass alive since he's been guarding him.
Paul.
He's been killing him. It's not a good matchup. And mostly with no rim protection, this is where it gets we're going to the nerd status. With no rim protection, you're talking about a dude in Jimmy Butler who is he's number 3 in the league in isolation points per possession. He's number 2 in the league in drawing fouls per isolation possession.
That's actually crazy.
And he's top 5 in the league in free throws attempts per game. And when you have no rim protection for a dude who is literally, Jimmy isn't one-dimensional. In a sense, you can't average 22 points a game on 13 shots or 14 shots and be one-dimensional. But he's drive past you, get to the line. If you have no rim protection, Jimmy's about to eat you alive. We've seen it all year, just like with Bam. If you have no rim protection, we're going to kill you and then get our open three-point shooters, hit them. We're number 1 in the league in three-point percentage. We're going to kill you. We are going to kill you. And Atlanta has a horrible defense in the first place. And without Clint Capella, they don't even have a damn anchor out there. So they're dead.
They're dead.
Heat 5.
Did you have some thoughts on that, Chris?
Yeah, I don't. I actually don't think the Capella injury is super problematic. I really don't think it does a lot to the series. I like Okongwu, man. Like,
Interesting.
I think
Me too. I like him. I
like
was high on him out the draft.
Capella's taken in my opinion, a pretty big step back this year defensively. Like he was on a bunch of people's ballots last year, and he did a pretty good job protecting the rim. Bam is like not your traditional center in the sense that he moves like a four.
Yeah, maybe
he's
even a 3.
He's probably 6'9", right? Okongwu actually like matches his build pretty perfectly. He's a guy who's got some like lateral movement, whereas I feel like Capella's a little bit more vertical. So that doesn't really scare me at all. The only thing that does, I guess, is a lot of times when you put those backups in starter roles, they struggle with foul trouble, and then when they have to come off the floor, that's the big issue. Is you're now going from the incumbent starter to a third stringer who belongs nowhere near the floor. So from that perspective, Capella being out might be a big deal, but I don't think that 1-for-1 replacement is actually a huge deal. I
would say this though.
I thought Okongwu won. He didn't win them the game tonight, but he kept a lot of plays alive around the rim, and he's really, really active. So I think he's kind of going to fit in well. He's like a dirty work. Like he can rim run too. He broke up a lob tonight to Evan Mobley that was big down the stretch when they were up 1. That's actually not that concerning. I like what you said earlier. Is one thing I like to look at is who has the best player in the series, especially when it's a toss up. Right, like I'm usually going to rock with who's the best player on the floor. The occasions where I won't do that are like what you mentioned. Trae Young's probably one. You can have that discussion, but like you said, the Heat have probably the next 4 guys on the list, and
if not more.
Yeah,
which is crazy.
Like any team with Bogdanovich being your second best player is not like a true threat to make any noise, and Atlanta just doesn't guard anybody right now. You know, they have one of the best offenses in the league, if not the best, and you're running into a top 5 defensive team.
Yeah. I also think it's different, too. Like, when you have a guy like Trae Young, even though he is the best player, he's not providing you a ton on the defensive end of the floor. So, like, to me, that also kind of sways the way I view it. I don't know if that matters to y'all.
He's not, but, like, I'm going to be really interested to see what Spo does, because normally – it's just really hard to find teams that have a guy who can punish you off the dribble at every single spot. So I would imagine they're going to try to put Trae Young on like PJ Tucker, for example, on defense, because PJ just for more or less stands in the corner, and the goal is to kind of right, and the goal is to kind of hide him. But I still feel like if you're Atlanta and PJ Tucker's taking Trae Young to the block and shooting that like garbage hook shot floater bullshit that you sent today, like that's probably a win for Atlanta if PJ's taking that shot. That's just not a play that they're going to spam over and over. So it'll be interesting to see what happens with Spo in those rotations, because I don't even know if you could hide him on Strus. I think Strus has enough juice like off the dribble to to make him work, whereas I don't think PJ does. So I'll be interested to see how Spo messes with those lineups. That's the goal every game. It's really hard to go matchup hunting for an entire game and really make that guy work on the other side. But ultimately,
I would say
like Heat and 5. Probably, I just don't think Atlanta defends well enough. This is going to be the perfect storm for Miami's quote-unquote lackluster half-court offense to get going, just because I don't think Atlanta matches up well with anybody defensively. So it's kind of the perfect storm.
With the Capella thing, this is the reason I brought it up. Bam has always struggled against a real center at the beginning. Like, I think over a 7-game series, it would have turned into just barbecue chicken down there. But
barbecue
and like
I love that phrase.
A 1-by-1 game sample. If you see Bam against a guy like Capella, like this long 7-footer who can jump a little bit and is strong, he has this weird shot selection and hesitation within himself. And I think when he sees a guy the same size as him, or even, I guess, just the same size as him, or even an undersized center in that sense, he looks at it as a mismatch it's like a switch situation, if that makes sense. Like, it's like a 3 is guarding him instead of a real center.
Yeah.
So I think his mentality changes in that sense. But I do agree with you. I don't think Capella is some what he used to be in Houston.
Yeah, like I'm not saying it's not a downgrade, and it is, but like
I love that.
yeah.
I love that narrative and that take. By the way, Sans, that's good stuff.
Like I think that Bam's shown stretches with like the jumper on the outside, but to me, like Bam does a lot of it. Bam is very much, and I'm not limiting him to this alone. He's an effort player through all of everything else that he is. Like Bam thrives on hitting the offensive glass quickly, like first jump, second jump, like getting up off the ground, being a rim runner threat on the pick and roll, like diving to the rim. And like Okongwu is he thrives on activity as well. So for example, like Bam can give maybe even a bigger center trouble if he's not used to that level of activity and lateral movement, whereas Okongwu is like kind of comfortable in open space. Does that make sense? And kind of moving his feet, and he's good at so that's why I actually don't think that the Capella to Okongwu downgrade is that significant. It's obviously going to play out, and I could be wrong. I don't think he's going to maybe feast on him the way he might another team's backup center. I think Okongwu is capable and athletic and active enough to at least maybe counteract some of the dirty work that Bam's going to be doing on the glass and things like that. So that matchup would be kind of fun to me. Okongwu, he's obviously not a household name.
The two different perspectives.
Yeah.
Like y'all almost agree, but you just see it from a different angle.
Yeah, for sure. And
that's pretty cool.
And again, to like Sans' point, I don't think DeAndre Hunter's like defensive reputation has kind of like stuck in college, and we've wanted him to kind of morph into that the entire time he's been in the pros, but he hasn't quite done that. And I just don't think anybody else on their perimeter defense is going to be terrible. So I don't think Miami's going to be forcing – by no means are they going to be forcing the ball to Bam in an unorthodox way and trying to make him eat against that matchup. I think his stats are going to come like organically as a pick and roll, like rim diver, and Atlanta's weaker on the perimeter. So I think guys like Jimmy and Kyle and Tyler Hero, those are the guys that are really going to get off in the series. Less so than the interior, but yeah, it's going to be interesting. I would say I would say Heat in 5 though.
Yep. Let's do it.